at large. Let me briefly introduce representatives of EULiST universities, and we'll refer to the rectors and presidents who are with us today, starting from the president of our alliance, the rector of Leibniz University in Hanover, Germany, Volker Epping, and I guess, Volker, you are the only lawyer in this cohort. And then following the alphabetical order, it's Juna-Matti Saska, rector of Lund University from Finland, Aneta Marell, rector of Jan Hoping University, Sweden, Frederic Vincent, vice president for academic international affairs of Institute Mainz Telecom in France, rector Ladislav Janicek from Brno University of Technology in Czech Republic, Oliver Moravcik, rector of the Slovak University of Technology in Bratislava, in Slovakia, Jan Snyder, rector of the Technical University of Vienna, Austria, Xavier Ramos Lopez, rector of the University Rey Juan Carlos, Spain, vice rector for research Maria Benedetta Mattei, University L'Aquila from Italy, and I am Andreas Boutovis, director of NTUA. In the direction of promoting and highlighting the scope of the EULiST, it's the keynote speech that will be delivered later in the program by Jacques Combi, a project manager for European universities and international cooperation at the French Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation. And the title of his talk will be European Universities Initiative Experience. Besides EULiST and European universities, I thought it's good to offer a glimpse of this university, of National Technical University of Athens campus, to our guests, since due to time constraints, they will not have the opportunity for a tour of the main campus, nor will be able to go to the historic campus in downtown. The short video that will follow will be interesting even to local people, personnel and students who know both places, but maybe they don't have the bird eye view that will be shown in the video. Are we ready with the video? Well, that was it. Thank you. And now, let me give the floor to the general coordinator of this meeting and of this particular open session, my colleague, Professor Katerina Adam from the School of Metallurgical Engineering.
Mining and Metallurgical Engineering, yes. Welcome, everybody. As you can see, the open session has a rich agenda, and it starts at 4:30, and it goes on till 7 o'clock in the afternoon. Our first speaker is going to be the keynote speaker from France, who's going to give a presentation on European Universities Initiative Experience. Mr. Jacques Combi, who's the project manager for European Universities and International Cooperation at the French Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation, is a very experienced researcher, very active in a number of French and international research projects. And as of 2020, he was appointed project manager for European universities by Frédéric Vidal, Minister of French Education. So we would like to welcome Monsieur Combi. He's going to give his presentation online, and we hope all the technical issues are going to work. So we would like to welcome Monsieur Combi, and we are very much interested in listening to his experience on European universities.
I hope you hear me.
We can perfectly hear you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. French establishment participate in 144 alliance already created, a number that will increase further with the next two calls for tender 2023 and 2024, on which, in my opinion, will accept the 50 French establishment in the 60 alliance, which will have been created and of which I hope EULiST will be part. As I have stressed on several occasions, the interest and the question of the European University is no longer a political issue in France. For all institutions that are not in an alliance, all these institutions hope to integrate one or participate in the construction of a new alliance. Most of those who are not sure of succeeding want to build are in the process of building consortia, very, very much inspired in general by the model of Ireland, hoping, of course, not to be forgotten by the Europe of university. On this last question, it's important to say that European universities must be a driving force for transformation, but not to the detriment of other institutions, which will not be alliance, but which, nevertheless, constitute 90% of universities in Europe. European university must be considered in a much more global reflection on the evolution and construction of the future of the European research on higher education area, in which they must have an important role, certainly, of course, but not an exclusive and even less an excluding role. The positive aspect of the alliance underlined by the establishment, which justify this commitment, are numerous and known. I will not enumerate them, we all know them. I would just remind you that among these positive points, everyone underlines the interest of the experimental dimension of the alliances, but also their plurality. There is no single alliance model, no uniform rule, no norms to impose because the interests of institutions vary, and so do their international strategy, which model based sometimes on local, on or national ecosystem, other uniform or more fundamental research, etc., etc. A variety of models often explained by the more or less strong integration strategy designed by the alliance partners. These are two very important factors to be considered by both the states and the European Commission if we want the success of the alliance project. Sylvie Retailleau, our French minister, is convinced. I remind you of one of his statements at the Versailles Forum in June 2021. She said, "In my opinion, the key idea is not to force anyone to conform to a model or a system. On the contrary, we want to let French and European establishment experiment by giving them broad guidelines such as promoting mobility, by example, but without imposing a binding framework. It is therefore for us to support different models by giving them the freedom to experiment according to their project." To sum up, we can already say that alliances are not a simple additional layer of international, but that there are good and must be a variation of the international strategy of the establishment within the framework of concerted national and European strategies. It's not simply a new program, a new project, is more. The strong interest of France, and in particular of President Macron for European universities, is known. It is linked to the initial objective of building alliances. They were affirmed as soon as the call from the Sorbonne in September 2017, where President Macron called for the creation of European universities, which a few essential objectives as a reminder. Promote the construction of a European S3, powerful in research, training, innovation, professionalization, powerful, competitive with the rest of the world. Promote competitive S3, but also an S3 capable of being the partner of very large-scale projects on meeting global challenge. An S3 which participates in European construction by producing one or more European value models, European citizenship, etc. An S3 that helps mobility, students, staff, and that produce student mobility with the idea of a professional mobility. Signed the Sorbonne speech, France's commitment and conviction have not been denied. So I would like to enlight the great attention paid by the Ministry of Higher Education and the Minister Sylvie Retailleau to alliance with French partners in general, and the attention of the Ministry and mine to EULiST and of course to the Mines Telecom Institute. Olivier Epinette and the EMT governance team, whom I have met several times and asked to meet, can testify to this interest. This interest is not a coincidence, it's not an accident. The proposal of your alliance and its organization so that EULiST can act as a game changer in the higher education European ecosystem. The ministry is obviously very sensitive to the specifier of EULiST, which mainly brings together engineering sciences with a prestigious French school, but which also works with the humanities and the social science. A set with a multidisciplinary dimension essential to meet the major objective of EULiST, I quote you, to develop new solutions adapted to the ecological transition to thus respond to the main socioeconomic challenge and build a sustainable future together with a strong emphasis on technology as a service of society and its transition. The European Commission is also very sensitive to your project, since you carry one of the major themes, perhaps the major themes, on which the Europe of research and training must focus in the years to come. I would also like to recall France's conviction that European university will be a major element of the future European area of higher education and research. The minister is convinced of the importance of the European anchoring of French university and the internationalization of research. It wishes to support the effort of French researchers and academics to participate in European projects. It is also convinced that the quality, the complementarities, the mobility, and the exchange that these European consortia will produce will strengthen the international attractiveness of university. This interest is not the manifestation of a simple pro-European political discourse grid. It is to many proofs, some of which are very concrete. Among them, of this recent proof of this conviction, of this keen interest, and of the close follow-up it gives to the European University, is its last press release of February 3, 2023. In this press release, it salutes the commitment of French higher education establishment to experimentation in the 10 projects selected from the 2 calls of the European Commission, European Labour Degrees, and the Statute of Islands. It is delighted that French higher education establishments are participating directly or with the European Alliance, of which they are members, in 9 of these 10 projects. By the way, this result confirms once again the mobilization of French establishment for the initiative of European University. Sylvie Retailleau is very, very pleased, with this collective success and specified that the Ministry of Higher Education and Research will provide French establishments with its support and expertise in this experiment, and that it will also facilitate the dissemination of the lessons learned from this experiment. An experimentation which should not be limited to the winners alone, but which should mobilize all the establishment in the exchange of good practice. The interest of the ministry and its support is also confirmed by other evidence, as I have already said, very concrete. Following the announcement in the summer of 2022 by the European Commission of the renewal of 16 European universities launched in 2019 and the creation of 4 new alliances, nearly 30 million euros have been allocated by the French within the framework of the French 2030 plan to the 21 French partner establishments. As stated in the press release from the minister, this support, the amount of which has increased by 30% on average compared to the allocation allocated to European university to date in France, should enable this establishment to increase their cooperation activity within Alliance, in particular by deploying the research and innovation dimension, a dimension to which the minister is very, very sensitive. I will come back to this idea. I'm pleased to recall that France is the most committed in this point. In fact, today almost all the states participate, but in a very different level of commitment. This is a major concern for France, and in the many exchanges which other states, France continues to invite them to do more. We have already achieved some success signs today. As I said, almost all the countries are participating, which was not the case originally, and some have considerably increased their contribution. After France, in the recent case of the Netherlands, Germany also for a long time, then to a lesser degree, Poland, Italy, Greece, Spain, etc. In any case, I would like to thank you to them for their contribution, even if we still have to work on this financing, and if we think about it, in particular within the framework of the ERA question, and in particular in the ERA subgroup question 30. I will come back on this question too. It is absolutely fundamental that the states talk to each other and build together on this subject as an other. Indeed, if we want to move forward in any case, we will have to share work in partnership, converge, encourage the learning of mutual practice, facilitate the exchange and sharing of practice. This is an essential step in the construction of the European research area and European higher education. France is totally convinced that it's necessary to build in sharing, in dialogue and proposal between the European Commission, the state, the alliance, and the establishment. One of these one of the great interests of alliances is precisely that they oblige states to discuss, to share good practice and improve. None is perfect, and all have something to offer, as we have seen France has a leading role in financing. This all is more complicated, it's clear, for the simplification of national legal rules, as in Germany, whereas Spain has just made considerable progress on this subject, which we can to draw inspiration from and which France is analyzing very carefully. While the funding reflects the interest and commitment of the French ministry, it also explains that France is following the result and development very closely. Indeed, the ministry is attentive to ensuring that the transformation underway at the level of the alliance also benefit and as much at the level of the French establishment themselves. This is a very, very important point for the French minister, and it's quite normal for our minister. She is also very sensitive to the impact that the transformation of the S3 space will have on excellence in research. The French ministry wants Europe, but we want also to have an excellent research and better more in France. Today, if uncertainty remains about the future and the model of future European university, and more generally about the structuring and organization of the university and scientific Europe of tomorrow, it is not conceivable, in my opinion, that we will observe a backtracking of the institution in their international commitment, and in particular in Europe. France remains very invested in the construction of European universities and in the more global of the European area of research and higher education. This construction is designed in very close collaboration between the minister and the establishment to define a national strategy in connection with the international development strategy of the establishment within a European framework. Here again, I will give you a concrete proof of this desire with the example of the meeting organized between our minister, Sylvie Retailleau, and all the French establishment that member of an alliance on July 12 from 12:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. at the French ministry. The minister will devote 2 hours of action with the head of establishment on 2 parts: assessment and prospect of European university. And I want to tell you that all the heads of establishment have accepted the invitation, and they will all be there. And I know that if EULiST is winner, Odile Gauthier will be with us, and I'd be very happy. This obviously doesn't mean that the construction is easy and without difficulties. The questions remain numerous, and we know them for the most part. I will only mention a few. Of course, European diploma and the statute of Ireland, subject on which not all visions always met, but everyone is working on them, in particular within the framework of the Commission called for tenders on level and statutes, alliance and establishment state Europe. Evaluation and accreditation too. These hasn't she risk finding themselves between the need and the necessity for European cooperation, but also maybe a competitive mode. How to deal with this problem? Should we create an European agency or use the existing one, sometimes very different? In any case, it will be necessary to work in confidence. Thierry Coulon for France clearly said again recently during a Franco-Spanish forum in Madrid that he was not in favor of a European agency, but that it was necessary to rely on national agency. More generally, how to think about the future framework program to research and innovation and the issues it invites us to take up, such as societal challenges, scientific excellence, competitiveness, or changes in the labor market. Should we create a dedicated European program to increase the impact of university in terms of research? Why not? Innovation and education. Should we set up a European partnership for university? Maybe. It is not essential that skills are taken into account in research on the framework program for innovation. In this context, how can we align a real model of research training alliance? Also, and above all, the issue of funding, and in particular that of research, a fundamental question for the future of the alliance, and which falls within the new priorities areas of the European research area and in its action, in particular through Action 13 of the era that France has proposed and that it has the honor of co-chairing. I would like to remind you that in French chairs, she is not only one to decide. It is only a question of polishing consensual proposal, which will be valid or not by the state and the European Commission. I am convinced that the current model is changing, and I'm also convinced that the role of state will be very important in defining this new model. Without elaborating, I only note that, in my opinion, this last question goes beyond the framework of alliances alone, and that is concerned other older and highly developed collaborative network. We know now that research is not always very strongly developed in alliances. It is obviously essential to progress in this area, but I do not believe that we can limit ourselves to building with only alliance on this subject. At least,
Mr. Combi, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but according to the schedule and because there are many presentations, if you don't mind, your presentation has to finish at 10 minutes after 5, and we're having some technical difficulties. Your sound is not very, very good. So maybe because you don't have microphones, I don't know why. So if you don't mind, your presentation has to finish in about 2 minutes. I'm very sorry for this inconvenience. Thank you very much.
Okay, there is no problem. There are many other questions, of course. By example, what do you understanding by excellence? And this is what the European Commission will do, the excellence of research, etc., etc. I just finished now, just for say that everything is not easy, but I am very confident of the future. That's clear. To conclude, I would like to highlight that if European universities are today a factor of transformation, but also of enthusiasm in this establishment, their development cannot take place without commitment and strong political support from the heads of establishments themselves, rectors and president, and without their strength of conviction. On this question, I would like to thank the president of the University of the Educ Alliance for their investment, the director of the Institute Min Telecoms, but also in his team, which I can measure thanks to my exchange with them, dedication and conviction. A little sauce for Olivier Pinet, Vice President, International Relations. Thanks, Olivier. But also the President and the team of all our partners university in EULiST, Leibniz University and our coordinator of the Alliance EULiST, National Technical University of Athens, Brno University of Technology, Slovak University of Technology, La Penrenta University of Technology, Jönköping University, Region Carlos University, Vienna University, University of L'Aquila. Congratulations to all for your remarkable achievement. I'm sorry I won't be able to stay with you to answer for your question. I stole 20 minutes from my minister, and I promise to find Erwi very quickly after my speech. I will be see you soon, and maybe, and I propose that you can maybe drink a lot of champagne on the 29th of June. Bye-bye, see you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Combi. I don't know if you have time for one question, if there is a question from the audience, or if you have to leave immediately.
No, I'm sorry, but I need to leave immediately. My minister wait to me now.
Okay, so good luck. Thank you very, very much.
So the news is that we will be listening about the outcome of the evaluation on the 29th. So
yes,
3 days from now.
Yes, it's the 29th of June. And the European Commission said that we will have maybe 4 to 6 new alliances created.
Okay. That's even better news, because we were counting on 4 new alliances.
Yes.
Now you say that's 6.
Yes, you was very close. You was 6, and it could be maybe 6. It's not sure, but just they say 4 to 6. I hope you will drink champagne on the 29th June.
If you overhear anything about EULiST, please let us know, and we'll keep the secret.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Following this presentation about the role of European universities, we would like to invite Professor Christina from Haren from Leibniz University of Hanover to give a presentation about EULiST Alliance highlights. Christina, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to talk a little bit about what EULiST is and what it achieved. And I would like to start with this picture. The other day, a representative of the DAAD gave us the picture and said, "This is the University of the Future in a Transforming World." That's the title. And you can see this is a very complex organism with many, many different functions. And we already heard now also by Jacques Comby that the European universities should be a driving force for transformation. And of course, we also want to make technology a service to society and so on and so on. So this is very, very ambitious, even for a single university. But on the other hand, we have the task of transformation is so big that as a single university, we are not able to tackle that. And also, not only that this university organism is very complex and has a lot of new tasks, which we didn't tackle before, but we also are expected to radiate into the society around us and into Europe. We should be the driving force of transformation in Europe. So this is super ambitious, and this is a big demand on universities. So how can a university of the future and the University Alliance look like? And as I'm an ecologist, I thought maybe a tree is a good metaphor, because we need the whole organism. We need the roots, we need the trunk, we need, of course, the leaves which will do the photosynthesis, but we need a very strong organization to feed this organism, to bring substances into the leaf and to enable the leaves to do photosynthesis, give substances back into the organism, and then maybe we will have fruits at the end of the year which we can harvest. So this is really something which we are going for, I think, and we need a strong organization. And that is the good news. I think we are on a very good way to build this trunk, to build this vehicle, and to get the organism going. Maybe we don't have too many leaves and fruits yet, but we have something already. So this is our alliance, and you can see it's very well spread all over Europe, and we have also different, I won't tell you which are the members because you know that very well, but we have to start to map our different competencies and the specific competencies we have and the complementary competencies in order to know each other better and to make our members know each other better, because the professors, the people who teach, who do research, but also the students, they are the people who will populate this ecosystem of EULiST, and they will implement the different objectives which we want to achieve together. So this is just the beginning. I took this from the description of the universities themselves, but I selected certain things which I thought especially interesting. But of course, we have to work on this. We need to know each other better also in detail and to find the content also for cooperating in research, also not only in teaching. Now, the EULiST concept, I think, is very much of what Jacques Comby also talked about. We want strength through diversity, interdisciplinarity, and intercultural interculturality. And I think the little church we visited last night is a symbol of that, because it has been assembled of components which come from different cultures, come from different periods in time, come from different geographical origins, and but it doesn't look like a kind of completely diverse thing. It has also, in the outer appearance, it looks complete, and it looks like having one concept. And I think this is a very nice symbol for what EULiST will be. We will use our strengths which lie in the diversity. We can learn so much from each other in many respects, not only in teaching and research, but also in administration and how we do things in the different universities. And also, this was mentioned by Giacombi. This is an experimental exercise, and this may be also a relief to us, because I think also the European Union has to see that this is a big experiment, and this gives us also some freedom to try new things and to be creative. EULiST as a testbed for innovative approaches that can be tested and validated in the consortium. And we must not always be successful. I think this is also something we should internalize. Then I think EULiST is specific and special because we had a bottom-up approach from not the very beginning, but rather soon in the process of coming to know to each other. So we already implemented and a lot of initiatives, a lot of ideas from the different universities. Almost 500 people took part. So this is already a good basis to, the news about EULiST has already spread, at least in parts of our universities. And what I think is really very specific about EULiST is that we have already a long-term commitment of all partners to a common strategic direction and external representation. And all presidents who are present here and who were present in Madrid and in the meeting before in Hanover said, we want to go forward on this path together, whether we get funded or not. So this, I think, is very impressive as a commitment of collaboration and friendship also. EULiST has added value for different organizations. I think that for the university as an organization, EULiST is already very valuable, but also for the students, we will see the outcome of the campus, of a campus BIP, a blended intensive learning project later. We had already quite a lot of these projects. I think the students will profit immensely. The administration I already mentioned, but also the researchers. This is still a weak point in the program of the European Union. We need a stronger link to research, because that will motivate our teaching and researching staff, both because our teaching is usually research-driven, so we need this strong link, and we will think of ways how to encourage people to do things in research together. Now we are at a very exciting moment in time right now, because we issued a second proposal in January 23, and the results, as we heard, will be published on June 29th now, and now our chances may be a little bit better than we thought before. If there are 6 alliances to be promoted, then maybe we will be lucky and get the funding. Nevertheless, if this will not happen, we will continue and work on a third call that will be much easier, I guess, than the calls we wrote in the proposals we wrote in the past. And I hope we will be successful then third time. We will not give up if we don't get the funding this time. So what is EULiST in numbers? 200,000 students. I think this is impressive, and we want to engage a lot of them in international experience. 20,000 university employees, more than 500 project participants. I already mentioned that in the bottom-up process, and we have these 10 locations. So we have capacities. It is just a matter, we need not, I mean, we need, of course, more funding. That's clear, because universities usually are underfunded. But we can also shift things which we are doing in our everyday work, maybe a little bit more towards the international target, towards the international goal, and already achieve things by that. We will have to do that whether we get the funding or not. So what are highlights? I already mentioned that this kind of friendship which we build up between each other, and the mutual trust and the cohesion in challenging times, for instance, in COVID times, and how to deal with Russia, things like that, we already felt that being in an alliance is better than being by ourselves, and also coordinating the reaction which we did. Then also very challenging, despite very challenging conditions in proposal writing, we were quite good already with our first proposal. We lost some people on the way, but we gained new friends. We gained IMT instead of, I wouldn't know who was before in the alliance, but we have a sustainable alliance now, and we see EULiST as a vehicle for transformation and modernization of our institutions. So this is a kind of double benefit we take. We foster the internationalization in our universities, but on the same time, we proceed in the modernization of our own institutions. And then, last point, we already feel now and see now that there is a high interest of stakeholders in the region to participate, and we see that there is a lot of joint interest with our endeavor. So what new tasks do we want to tackle together? Digitization of administrative processes and campus access. That's probably the most ambitious thing to do, and yeah, we need to work a lot on that. Then the increasing attractiveness for our students. We have to really talk about what we are doing and include the students much more closely than up to now. Then we want to build up a shared sustainable campus with digital offerings, course catalog, library, research infrastructure. We want to go forward in the direction of challenge-based learning and research-driven teaching. And we want to build up joint degrees and outreach in connection with EULiST sites and regions. What did we achieve? And I give some concrete examples. We have already in 22, all parties signed an agreement of cooperation, also with the first approach to governance, and we already have a common budget, and from which our coordinator, Markus Auditor, is paid collectively. I think this is already also an achievement, and we can go forward in this respect. We have a multilateral Erasmus agreement, which is facilitating any kind of Erasmus exchange activities at present already. We are already on our way with exchanging of best practices in all kinds of in-language policies, in libraries, on our IT centers, and so on and so on. This is already going on. And we had an online workshop organized by Athens during the pandemic, teaching and learning in times of pandemic, which was very frequented by many, many people. It was very successful. We had a workshop on student services on campus. The language services are active. We have more than 50 student tandems each semester working bilaterally together on their language skills. We have had 4 student campus projects and now a running BIP, Blended Intensive Learning Program, monitoring clean energy in the EULiST campuses, Research Fridays, summer schools we already had, and we had a European Union Career Student Ambassador webinar with almost 400 student participants. So activities that are in progress, and I will pick only some of them, and next steps will be, of course, the digital campus, and I would like to lead your attention to the open education resources and the knowledge graphs, the digital services, so the libraries will offer support in that. Then staff mobilities. This is really something which is very easy to do, and this, at least staff at Hanover University, but also in other universities, they pick this opportunity up very well at present. Then, of course, we have to motivate our teachers with course exchanges, joint teaching, summer schools, and blended intensive learning programs, things which are already going on. Then a common agreement for co-tutel, what is planned in the near future. We also want to build up, and this is also an activity which can be started right away, an internship marketplace with the help of enterprises in our regions, because we find that this is an easy thing also to bring students into the other countries, into the regions where the other universities are, and give them a wide variety of different offers where they can do their internship. Study projects going on already, but of course we want to continue that. And this is really now what we have to go on in the near future, that we start joint research proposals, and with the help maybe of the new Fridays for research activities. And also the lifelong learning units are working together and work on micro credits and micro degrees for continuing education in lifelong learning. So, what support and resources are there? We have Erasmus, of course, that's routine, but from 2024 on, more EU funding may be available if the application is successful, maybe already this year, and special credit is given, hopefully, in the future for additional teaching costs in the EULiST context. Then we have in the area, people from the network are trying to bring all these possibilities together, funding possibilities to university alliances. And then, of course, we have our central coordinator, Markus Auditor. He's supporting all activities which pop up, but we will also have to concentrate on things which are easy to implement. And then we have the EULiST, I could say, voluntary EULiST local coordinators in your individual universities. So let's look with a positive and optimistic perspective into the future, and I think we changed already quite a lot during these last 3 years. We started like this in the first year after, no, this was during the pandemic still, but we had a meeting, or during challenging times, I must say. Then the next meeting was already much more It was much more formal, but much more people took part. Of course, this is the leading team. And now we look like this. So this is more people, more engaged people, much more informal, I would say. So we are becoming a self-organized ecosystem with many, many, many interrelations between the different partners. People smile in comparison to the other pictures. So let's take that as a good symbol and as a, yes, as a metaphor for our look into the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Christina. And now we would like to invite the team of Sustainable Campus, something like Christina showed us a vision of the future, and we would like to invite Professor Lene Foss to start her presentation. In this unit of Sustainable Campus, we'll have the opportunity to listen to the first outcomes of this blended intensive program, coordinated by Professor Dimopoulou, and we'll have again the opportunity and luck to listen to the presentation of the students' team. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity. We talk about sustainability, and then we also can apply that to our project. How is it? We are not secure that we get funding, but we have objectives, and we could actually kind of discuss a little bit what can we do in the short term, and what could we possibly do in the long term if we get funding. Here is the team on the WP2 in the different sub-workage packages, and I would like now to show you how we kind of think. And to the left-hand side, you see actually the objective from the applications. And here is a task 2.1 that Effie is sharing together with Spinek. And the description here then is management of common teaching, learning, research, and outreach, help students to find courses and information, easy initial contact between research and teaching teams among partners, a little bit like Effie already told you about. So what can we do then? Let's think a bit in the short term. No funding assumed. We will do surveys. We do a survey of digital systems and computer-readable teaching resources used at the partners. We can do the requirement specification for the digital campus and a common authentication to digital campus, and also preparing this digital course catalog. However, if we get funding, we could have some long-term actions, and that is to make an EULiST courses catalog visible online, a technical plan for functional joint course catalog, and actually also a 3D virtual campus, and share best practice and using the AI tools in learning and teaching. Next, Søren Auer on Beate Guba. So the description there is sharing ideas and resources between university library services and build an innovation hub setting that EULiST does apart from other initiatives. In the short term, we coordinate the Scholarly Knowledge Graph and Open Research Knowledge Graph group, also coordinate Open Access Publishing Platforms group, and coordinating Open Educational Resources Repository group. If we look at the long-term actions, it's possible to make groups benefit from professional marketing and communication under this recognizable EULiST brand. And also then to specialize services offered according to the requirement from local university groups. Yes, Søren Auer and Beate Guba, they are busy. So here is actually the Knowledge Hub library. And here, from the application, you see a digital information hub for EULiST, library and knowledge-based systems fostering open science and uniting open access collections, data facilities and services. So what, in short, we can strengthen the efficiency and productivity. We can enhance library tasks, support and gather the entire life cycle for research output, and harmonization and adjustment of the existing operative systems. So let's assume that we only have short-term activities and no fundings assumed. So we coordinate a digital information hub work group, design concepts for federated system infrastructure, and harmonize open access publishing platforms. Also foster the interaction and communication. Well, if we get long-term funding, we can then implement and develop plan for software frameworks and services. We can define process, timeline on development, iteration and implementation. We can communicate and interact for a user-centric approach and have a common development process across campuses. And we can also ensure data quality management of provided services. Here we had a sustainable campus initiative with David Bekowski and Peter Morgenstern leading that. And here from the application you see a common model and physical sustainability demonstrators for measuring and learning about the carbon footprint and to identify best practice on EULiST campuses to be disseminated within and beyond the Alliance. So the tasks then: develop campuses, reduce carbon footprint, and meet sustainability goals, develop methodologies for EULiST campuses measuring carbon footprint, steps to reduce it. Also then develop the Green Campus Initiative into a fully fledged EULiST Green Alliance. Let's assume just short-term activities. We monitor strengths and weaknesses with the partner universities. We collect boundary conditions, management structure building operations, energy, environment, and human behavior in each campuses. And then we identify innovative examples of sustainability solutions on campuses. Then platform for sharing experience and events. If we get funding, we can actually develop this and use this methodology for calculating carbon footprint of the EULiST campuses, which I really think many will be interested in getting their result. Then implement and sustain measures on campuses and get experience on national strategies and practices. Then the Academic Support Center, that is our last task force, 2.5, with Nerolyn Ramstad from EU and Tinatin Kabadaste from MIT. And the objective then is actually to develop a culture of collaboration and information sharing between university support staff. We talked a little bit earlier today about EULiST as a new institution and a new way of organizing. And I think this support center here will be very useful for this organizational and institutional part of our project. So we will ensure that all partners can create the best possible environment for the students. In short term, we make an inventory of the student support services at each universities, and we will look for the best practice forums, and we will establish a language support program for EULiST students. The long-term actions then is to make a EULiST student card and support for disabled students, share best practice, and implement a student mobility program. I hope this was a little bit of a concretization and that we can think a little bit in the two scenarios, if funding and not. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we would like to invite Professor Dimopoulou to give us a glimpse of the blended intensive program currently in progress at NTUA.
Thank you, Katerina. Waiting for the presentation to show up. So good afternoon. My name is Efi Dimopoulou. I'm professor at the National Technical University of Athens and the Task 2.1 Digital Campus Infrastructure Leader. I'm honored and happy to coordinate the first blended intensive program organized by NTUA on monitoring clean energy in the EULiST campuses. This BIP program is organized in cooperation with Lund University, Jönköping University, Leibniz University of Hanover, Institute of Mines, Telecom, the Slovak University of Technology in Bratislava, and University L'Aquila. Although the time from conception to implementation of this BIP program was a sprint, our extended team transformed the limited time into a challenge and successfully, I think, overcame difficulties. Professor Boudouvis, our rector, open to new approaches, gave us the opportunity to work for a greener and more sustainable EULiST campus environment. Professor Katerina Adam, with her dedication to the EULiST vision and her expertise, guided the whole process. I would like to extend my gratitude to Katerina Macrinou, pillar of this effort, Antonia Labropoulou, inspired collaborator, the Erasmus Office, the IT experts, my School of Surveying and Geoinformatics Engineering, the lecturers and teachers from NTUA and co-organizing universities for mentoring and knowledge sharing. Lastly, but certainly not least, the participating students from EULiST universities, our BIPers, for their enthusiasm and their innovative thinking. Their collective effort enriches not only their university campuses, but also pave the way for future clean energy monitoring initiatives across educational institutions and the society as a whole. This BIP program is based on coordinated online and on-site actions and a challenge-based project that will be finally presented and evaluated by the end of the program on October 13th, 2023. The course was created and performed at Ilios platform NTUA with access granted to students and lecturers. The online virtual lecturing part comprised green, sustainable campuses and best practices in Slovakia, Finland, France, Germany, and Italy, as well as the environmental performance of NTUA. The on-site part included visits at the National Gallery and presentations in the three NTUA campuses, the historic Patission campus in the center of Athens. You've seen them before in the video. The Lavrion Technological and Cultural Park and the main Zografou campus on renewable energy sources, combination with hydrogen, solar engineering, eco-racing, biofuels, monitoring of energy uses, and the NTUA virtual campus. It also includes an ongoing challenge-based project, Eco-Friendly Sustainable Campus, where each of the four groups, the student groups, simulates the designated prototype building use and evaluates energy consumption, energy savings, and thermal comfort in two European climatic zones with different characteristics, which is Stockholm and Athens. The first outcomes of this project in the form of a roadmap that outlines the key points and future steps of the program towards sustainable campus will be presented after this session, in this session later on. So to conclude, the vision of the Clean Energy Monitoring Bee project is to empower EULiST campuses to be leaders in sustainability, driving positive change and setting an example for a greener and more environmentally conscious future. Through collaboration, innovation, and collective action, the project seeks to create a lasting impact that extends beyond the boundaries of individual campuses, shaping a more sustainable world for generations to come. Thank you. I tried to be short because I want to hand you over to the students. And I think that Vanessa and Hussein will represent the student teams to address their roadmap and their outcomes as a first stage of this BIP program. Thank you.
So we would like now to invite Vanessa Tomei from the University of Alakula, master student, and Hussein Patel, a PhD candidate from Lut University, specialized in sustainability science development, to give the first outcomes of the students' projects. Thank you very much.
Okay. Hi, everybody. And now we will show you our blended intensive program, whose project is called Eco-Friendly Sustainable Campus. So what we decided to participate at this program. Of course, we want to overcome climate-related changes and to build a sustainable and resilient future, and with the aim of come up with smart solutions in energy efficient and environmentally responsible ways. So we focus on four main aspects: the optimizing spaces to make buildings more efficient and sustainable, also reducing the energy consumption and also carbon footprint, and improving the user comfort and activeness of the living environment. United to improve to the desire of improve the quality of life. So, the blend intensive program is composed by 5 actions, and the first 2 actions are already ended. In the action 1, we had online lectures, and we improve several knowledge, like we following on these slides, and like trends and research on clean energy technology from the co-organization universities, also energy monitoring, database energy consumption forecasting, and environmental performance in EULiST campuses, and also knowledge on the zero energy building. And we had also several knowledge with the tools and methodologies like Climate Consult, Climate One Building, also Open Studio with Energy Plus, and some standards. As for Action 2, we had the pleasure to visit 3 important university campuses and to get in touch with important topics. And at first, we visited the historic Pattison campus that allowed us to understand the importance of a systemic and integrated view of the building and taking into account all the boundary conditions. At second, we visited the Zografou campus that allowed us to get in touch with new innovative technologies and techniques in all sectors. And we also have the possibility to visit all their lab, like the thermal energy lab, the lab of 3D printing, also ZEB living lab, and mechanical lab. Also, we visit the National Gallery, and we learn about the reality of LEED certification. And at the end, we saw the Library on Technology and Cultural Park that provide us with additional knowledge in the sector of renewable energy sources, combination with hydrogen, solar engineering, eco-raising, biofuels, and the monitoring of energy uses. To conclude, we had the pleasure to live in an interdisciplinary, intercultural experience that had the possibility to us to get in touch with all the variety of our study and our research focus, cultural background and professional experience, which created an inspirational international environment to enrich each other with different approaches and views. So thanks you.
So we have made our own roadmap for this project. So basically, we have decided two different geographical locations, which is Greece, because due to the hot environment, and Sweden as second scenarios. And we have divided ourselves into 4 different groups, which is working on the different buildings, different functions. So office, library, residential, and conference room. These are the different we have divided. And the focus parameters to achieve the target, which we have considered basically is temperature, humidity, lighting, orientation, special demand in case of a special needs, for example, in case of handicapped people. And the day of use, which basically means the offices are working from Monday to Friday, from 8 to 5, or let's say 9 to 6. So in that case, what is the energy requirement and what is the free time of energy usage? And then the number of people in the buildings. So basically, after considering that, what will be the annual need of a heating of the rooms? What will be the annual cooling, electricity consumption, and the water consumption? So we cannot ignore the water consumption because most part of the world is suffering from water scarcity. And so we have the approach here for the data collection is we're going to use the different weather forecast, and designing the days, different insulation materials, construction materials, and the different building elements. For example, roof, walls, windows, doors with a different design and different insulating materials. And the approach here is instead of using just one campus or one building as a whole, we divide it into different small rooms so that we will have a much better picture. So for example, thermal period in a one room, or thermal period in a cooling period in a one room, and then we go slowly to the bigger design. We are using Open Studio interface. We got to know about this interface here, this platform. We were unaware as we are coming from a different specialties, and we are working on this. And the main aim is to simulate this with our own expertise, which is, for example, in my case, is sustainability. So we're going to run this program, and then we're going to do the sustainability assessment in order to get the better picture. And after that, we can conclude what we have understand and what we can recommend based on our specific studies. So this is a very important and very interesting figure that we got it from IEA. And we already have a roadmap till 2050 based on IEA. So as it can be seen that the green line is for the building and the blue color is for the heat and electricity demand. As we can see, we have 2030 that no more new buildings which will based on electricity and coal consumption, and which will be more sustainable. And as the year passes by, we will have a 50%. In 2045, we will have a 50% heating demand, which will meet the heat pumps standards. And in 2050, we will have more than 85% of buildings which is zero carbon, and almost less emissions from heat and electricity consumptions. So we already have this roadmap, but are we even close to implement that? So let's not take this world as a granted. Let's not make more emission impact on the environment, and for that reason, we have to simulate, and that's the reason this BIP was very interesting for us, so that we can implement this as soon as possible, and at least we can reach this target by 2050. Thank you so much. And it is not possible without my wonderful team, wonderful colleagues. They wonderful young minds, different, I'm not going to say everyone's name, but also the coordinators. Thank you so much for these wonderful opportunities and to get to know. And we have learned a lot from you guys. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
May I ask a question or two students? I noticed that in your presentations, you didn't actually mention anything about artificial intelligence. And with regard to that, I'm wondering about the data that you need to have in order to make projections regarding 2050 and beyond. Do you envision this kind of tools in combination with the availability of data as to make safer and more reliable predictions?
Is it okay if I answer, Vanessa? Thank you. That is a really interesting and good question. And we went to this hydrogen plant, and what we have learned that they had, because artificial intelligence, we are not sure of it yet because we have not seen the sustainability of that this platform. What we have understand from the hydrogen plant that they had a security breach when they were using, they had less of cyber security, and all the data was lost, and some hackers demand them for bitcoins, and they had to pay that because their data was with those hackers. So this is, we cannot ignore cybersecurity as well. Cybercrime is a really big crime, and we have understand that there were so many cyber breach in a hydrogen plant in Canada as well, which was, I think, 4 months back. So yes, we need to focus on that, cybersecurity, and also AI, but we are not sure how AI is going to act in 2050 or in future. There are good effect and bad effect of it. So we cannot say anything for it as of now.
Well, I could argue with that, but let's do that in the coffee break, or maybe tomorrow, if you are around.
Definitely.
I would like to ask our colleagues and participants in this open session whether they have any questions to the students' team, because this is the first time that we're organizing something like that. I know that amongst the audience there are experts in this field, so I don't know if you would like to put some additional questions to a student team, because the student team is quite big, as you see. They expand in the other chairs. So there is a question over there. Yes? If you can please go close to a microphone so we could listen to you. And introduce yourself, please.
Hello. My name is Dimitris. I am the president of Erasmus Student Network of NTUA, of this university here. And I found all the presentations really interesting so far, and I want to congratulate the team for the perfect work. I was surprised. But there's a question in my mind. I want us to clarify a little bit better what are the differences of Erasmus program and EULiST, and how EULiST covers needs that the Erasmus program doesn't cover. That's, I want to clarify, if anyone wants to answer, yeah.
Well, if I can say something, I'm not sure about Erasmus or EULiST, but I can talk about this program, what we have learned. So we have theoretical knowledge, as I was mentioning before, that we had this theoretical knowledge, but having a hand-on experience with the industries, looking for the PV cells, solar cells, and wind turbine, their challenges, how they are facing the problems, and with the hydrogen plant. That was a really, really good experience, and we have learned a lot from that. So this program was really, really helpful for many of us. And for your answer, I'm not expert. If someone would like to answer.
Yeah, maybe it's trying to give you an answer. The Erasmus program is only a tool for us. So the Erasmus program is a tool for exchanging students. And the BIP program, for example, is also a tool of the Erasmus program. Yeah, it's financed by Erasmus. And using the Erasmus program and the financing, we are interconnecting our universities. Yeah, so there's no difference, but we use it for us to connect our universities. Yeah?
Maybe to, if you could please introduce yourself, because in the audience there.
Sorry, my name is Birgit Baden-Läufer. I am the director of the International Office of Leibniz University, Hanover.
So, Professor von Garen would like to put a question as well.
Maybe, was your question about the added value of EULiST? Was that the essence?
Well, I suspect that he was implying somehow, Dimitris was implying there is a sort of competition between Erasmus and EULiST.
Okay.
So I invite you to subscribe to EULiST without considering the complementarity of this thing rather than the friction between the two of them.
So let's say I'm a potential student and wants to do a mobility abroad. What should I choose? Should I choose an Erasmus mobility or an EULiST mobility? Like, for example, how would I spend my, let's say, free time in which program? I just want, because I want this information, to pass this information in my group, of the Erasmus group, so we know the differences. But that's why I ask.
So, Christina, you might want to add to your
So EULiST at least will offer a lot of more different formats for you. It will be much more flexible. Now you have the opportunity to take part in a BIP, but as you see there, we are now, as we are working as an alliance, we are offering more in this respect, also different other learning and teaching formats where you can take part. Even if you don't want to go to another country, you could take part in a summer school, you could take part in the future also in only a lesson or a course in the other university. So the variety of what you can do in EULiST will be much wider, though financed through Erasmus, then now. This is for you one of the main advantages for the students. And I think if you consider to go to either an Erasmus, any university in Europe where you have Erasmus cooperation with, or with EULiST, I think it will be a chance to go to EULiST University because the collaboration and the steady collaboration in the network will make many things easier to organize, will make things maybe also more tailor-made to your studies if the cooperation of the professors will be good. So this is something which will be much better for the students in the future, I think, or already now, beginning.
Yes, Marcus Audito, Central Coordinator from EULiST. Only one addition, because I think we presented, or Christina von Haren presented, and also Lene, the long-term objectives that EULiST has. And one general thing for all work packages or all flagship areas that we have is that we started already a very deep cooperation in teaching, in researching, to join our forces, our expertise within this network in a very structural way. And up the time, this means that you will have learning formats, different learning formats than now, and with a very, very high quality. Now, there was, for example, the question for one of the work packages, research-driven education. And when you have 10 partners with very strong expertise in different areas of research, and they will, for a long time, work together and join their forces for this research and for transfer this research in education programs, this will be a very big, high-quality added value for your education.
I'm suggesting that we leave the rest for the concluding remarks session, and we continue with our agenda. Thank you.
What comes next is the transfer of innovation, education, and research And we'll hear from Marc Delag, IMT Head of International and European R&D Affairs. And then from the Vice Director for Research and Lifelong Learning, Professor Yannis Hadjigeorgiou, and who will be addressing the NTUA Technology Transfer Office activities. Marc, please.
So hello everyone, I'm Marc, I'm working at IMT, as said. So let's talk about technology transfer within EULiST. So one of the major commitments of EULiST is to tackle societal challenges by linking society and technology through innovation. And to achieve that, it has been introduced in Work Package 5, thanks to our friends from Madrid, the concept of 4 helix innovation. Multiple helix innovation, as said by Lot Leidensdorf, it's recognizing that innovation is not solely driven by academic or industrial institutions, but also requires active engagement from government and civil society to ensure responsible and sustainable development. So the 4 helix are, of course, industry, academia, citizens, and public body. And you will see that it's linking all the work packages of EULiST. So first, to provide innovations, we need results from research. So we want excellence in science, groundbreaking, high gain, high risk research to advance frontiers of knowledge. In EULiST, we also want to emphasize on young researchers, young talents, through mobility, collaborative projects, Horizon Europe, ERC synergies, Marie Sklodowska-Curie Action, and etc. Co-supervision of PhDs also. So this low-tier research is very important because this is a breeding ground for future industry, market, and society-driven innovation. And around this, all EULiST universities are already oriented to our industry, citizens, and public body. We are aimed to deliver innovation to society. So within EULiST, we will focus on creating strong scientific communities, R&I strategies as defined in Work Package for research, on very focused societal challenges, mostly linked to climate change, of course. And when we will have these results, we will be able to transfer them. So let's talk about innovation transfer, supporting innovation transfer. For us, it's about education, Work Package 3. It's about supporting and training entrepreneurs. It's about protecting and funding our innovations. It's about also, for helix innovation, open innovation, to guarantee that these results, these innovations, are linked to society needs. Education, what do we want to do? We want to provide excellence for students and researchers who want to transfer results. So we can share courses, programs about entrepreneurship, about business. We can share experience of former founders. Okay. But we also want to create a wide society of innovation, thanks to diversity, thanks to promotion, communication of research, of innovation, to foster citizen engagement and trust in science. It's also about visibility in trade fairs dedicated to innovations such as Vivatech, Bits and Bretzel in Germany, but of course there are many others. Supporting and training our entrepreneurs when they began the transfer process. It's about providing to our entrepreneurs services, incubators, possibility to be high-skilled entrepreneurs. So all of this we can share within EULiST. And it's also about creating capabilities of fast product development. We can share our research platforms. We can share our living labs. We can share our fab labs. We can share our industrial capabilities because we all have strong network of industrial partners. Protection and funding of innovation. We want to offer, of course, IPR support and transfer expertise, mostly about sharing good practices on how to troubleshoot, let's say, IPR issues. So we want to protect innovation, of course, but we mostly want to facilitate transfer. We don't want any researcher, any student to say, oh, no, it's too complicated to transfer this result into an innovation, into a startup, into a spin-off. So we need to help them on this. We also could create a cluster of funding opportunities. We all have networks of VCs, business angel associations, private foundations that are providing honor loans. Let's put this together within EULiST. And again, to guarantee that these innovations will be linked to the needs of the civil society, let's perform for ELIX innovation, open innovation activities through local innovation hubs, So local innovation hubs. So here you can see the 4 ELIX or ELIXs, industry, academia, public body, civil society. EULiST must orchestrate this through local innovation hubs. So each ELIX already has natural connections with the others. You can see that they all have specific needs and capabilities. By nature, they are linked to the other. Public bodies are providing regulation and control policies to industry, civil society. Normally, they should be adapted to society needs. Academia is educating, providing research for civil society, but also to industry. So it also has been recognized that putting all these ELIX in the same room is very difficult and sometimes impossible. So that's why EULiST need to act as a conductor of this orchestra. And we can do that by multiplying open innovation initiatives, think tanks, Living Lab, co-creation workshops, hackathon, whatever initiative, but we want to multiply this initiative, take the results, and use them to feed this open innovation framework. And I think we all have the strength to achieve this. We are 10 universities spread all around Europe, but with strong local influence. We are already connected to the 3 other ELIX. So during EULiST, to achieve these local innovation hubs, we could share, of course, individual excellence, good practices, so that we can grow together, we can strengthen our team capabilities, EULiST team. And by doing that, we will achieve local innovation hubs that will connect at local level the needs and opportunity of each ELIX. The most difficult challenge of this, and this is task 5.2, is to ensure this orchestration at European scale. And again, this is the most difficult challenge. But to achieve this, we can rely on what we said this morning, European Innovation Ecosystem Call for Proposals. These calls for proposal under Pillar 3 of Horizon Europe are dedicated to supporting innovation and entrepreneurship system within Europe and also within Global South. So for example, in 2022 and 2023, there were some calls for proposal dedicated to cooperation of Europe and Africa for innovation ecosystems. So I think we can leverage on these initiatives. So, and to conclude, Antonia asked me to present or to explain one success story we had at IMT. But I'm sure in the next coming months, we will share all of our success stories, and we will have a lot of common success stories at EULiST scale. So let's take the example of Hopper. Hopper is a French startup incubated at IMT, south of France in Albi. So they are providing prostheses made with carbon recycled from aircraft structure. So you can see the prosthesis on the right. And this prosthesis is, of course, for disabled athletes. Why is it an open innovation success story example? It's about high-level education. Co-founders are students from IMT, as well as first employees. It has been co-created with industry. At the beginning, it's a student industrial project, which is compulsory in our Master of Engineering program. It has been made with Airbus, one of our major industrial partner, and Airbus had needs they needed to recycle composite structures of aircraft. It's about high-end research and technology transfer. Hopper has been developed with professors from IMT and thanks to a platform, research platform in Albi. This platform is dedicated to composite materials, lamination, characterization, and etc. And of course, Hopper is incubated in Albi. It's also about open innovation, about the 4 helix. It has been developed, of course, with athletes, with academia, and with public body. Healthcare system, French healthcare system has been involved. Regions have been involved. Occitanie region, of course, but also Pays de la Loire region, because the main manufacturing facility is in Nantes, in Pays de la Loire region. It's also about 4 helix funding capabilities. Hopper can be co-financed by public bodies, of course, healthcare system, by industries through sponsorship, associations, NGOs, and crowdfunding activities by citizens. What we didn't achieve and what we should achieve within EULiST is creating this society of innovation around Hopper. We have a structure, a team dedicated to a mediation for science that could organize a workshop for children around carbon recycling technology, how science can help disabled athletes or people, how circular economy is important and has impact for sustainability. And of course, we didn't achieve European and EULiST scale. There are, of course, athletes in every other country of EULiST. There are different healthcare systems. So if we want to sell this product in other countries, we need to understand the different healthcare systems. We can provide staff for Hopper coming from other universities. So we hope that this will be achieved within EULiST. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Yanni, it's your turn.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Professor Hatzigeorgiou. I'm the Vice Rector of Research and Lifelong Education. I will present you the relatively recently established Technology Transfer Office and its activities here in NTUA. The TTO, the Technology Transfer Office, was re-established or reactivated back in 2022, and its main goals, its task is as all technology transfer offices aim is to support our community in terms of entrepreneurial exploitation of the research conducted here in the National Technical University of Athens. Just to mention that we have hundreds of researchers and, of course, staff members. We're running around 1,300, maybe more, research projects. Many of them, the majority of them, is funded by national resources and, of course, EU money. And we are doing breakthrough research, and this great opportunity that our researchers, and especially young researchers, exploit, have the capability to exploit for the exploitation of their results. So typically, Technology Transfer Office, the objectives is to support and promote the innovative research is conducted here, and of course to inform and educate dual students and in general staff for the opportunities that is provided by using the products of their products of the research products into the market, to put them into the market. these are the main activities. For example, just to mention in the list, linking the dual researchers with the society, monitoring and coaching, linking dual research with potential investors, and collaboration, dissemination of research results, etc. One of the main activities of the Technology Transfer Office is the establishment of spin-off companies. In order to, as I said before, to put the results of the research into the market, the products of the researchers thinking, and to materialize all this work is done here in NTUA into market products. So far we have established 7 spin-off companies. We are doing pretty well, thinking that we didn't have any spin-off companies 2 years before. So we have established 7 of them, covering a large variety, a spectrum of activities, always doing with engineering discipline. And here we have 3 additional requests. In fact, there are more than 3 additional requests. I anticipate that by the end of the year, hopefully, we will have 5 more spin-off companies. So you understand we're doing pretty well on that. Here in Technology Transfer Office, our main goal is to support all these attempts and the work of our researchers. Here you can see the logos of our spin-off companies, and which all these spin-off companies, there is a variety of activities from material, nanomaterial to agri-foods, into agri-food sector, mass as a service, for example, the artificial intelligence and its application to biosciences, life sciences, commercialization of digital tools in culture and open data, recovery and reuse of materials, and development of products for the collection of geodata and geospatial management of geospatial data, etc. The first spin-off companies that we established here is, in fact, the Energy Competence Center, which is a spin-off company that was established by the initiation of the National Technical University of Athens, belongs to us, and doesn't belong to us. In fact, we have the major share in the share structure of the company. In the Energy Competence Center, which is specialized in the provision of special services in terms of the energy production in Greece, and in the shareholder structure participate the major energy companies here in Greece. The share capital, as you see, it's around 1.5 billion, and we have an external funding by the General Secretariat of Research and Innovation around 1.2 million euros. Another activity of a Technology Transfer Office, another activity, of course, of the Technology Transfer Office is the protect of the intellectual property. We have several requests in order to approve patents. There is an increased demand contemporarily, as I see, for many of the projects we run here to be completed by a patent or the establishment of a new spin-off company. So far, we have approved 9 requests of patent, and we have several others in the queue. Technology Transfer Office of NTUA participates in the Science Agora, which is a technology transfer hub that, in which several other organizations participate, mainly education and research organizations. As you can see, the Research Center Demokritos, the Athens University of Economics and Business, the Institute of Communication and Computer Systems, and of course the Research Center Athena, and of course us. We are receiving funding by projects which are co-funded by national resources and EU money. Now we are using, we are utilizing around 700,000 euros. We hope that this will continue in the future to assure our existence. Just to mention that contemporarily we are, the Technology Transfer Office is staffed by around 10 persons, mainly for with all kind of specialization, mainly engineers, but also we have a patent attorney as well, and we have lawyers and people doing economics better than engineers. These are some indicative activities. Briefly, the innovation entrepreneurship competitions, thematic seminars, business trade missions, integrated innovation programs, educational visits, etc. But our spin-off companies officially were presented recently in a conference, let's say conference, here in this very place. Of course, we had many chairs than we have now, and it was successfully held here in this room, and we presented the community and to the general public. We presented our spin-off companies and several other opportunities to be funded for these spin-off companies to be funded by the Hellenic Development Bank. We participated in MIT Global Startup Workshop, us and the Energy Competence Center, of course, and the fresh sheet, of research team of NTUA. And our Professor Alexopoulos also participated in this event as a speaker. Finally, I'm going to present, no, this is not the last one, one before the last one, the proof of concept program. We provide one grant of 10K euros, 10,000 euros. It's maybe it appears quite small, but it's just the beginning. It's composed by 3 phases. First, the call is already completed. So meet and assess the most mature research teams that is addressed to anybody here. I mean, a researcher or research team, regardless there is a faculty member or individual, an autonomous researcher, provided that has an affiliation with the NTUA. And very soon we will award the winner with 10K euros. And meet the founders. We are getting money in order to organize some visits. Recently, students of NTUA, in fact 15 students of the NTUA, improved their knowledge on the possibilities of established spin-off companies or to exploit the results and to use them hopefully in the market. Our students visited it, and they visited 5 successful spin-off companies, not ours. And the last, in this is in fact the last slide. We are also train the trainers, but everybody here, one way or another, is considered as a trainer or professor. So, however, there is no, in fact, a big experience regarding how we can, we researchers can exploit the products of our ingenuity. Thank you so much.
Well, apparently we are running on schedule, and we have reached the closing section of the open session, and the discussion will be guided by the 2 vice rectors, Professor Vangelis Apoutzakis and Professor Drosos Gididis, and they will manage to provide us with the closing remarks of this open session. Gentlemen.
Thank you, Rector. I am Evangelos Apountzakis, NTUA Vice Rector of Finance, Planning and Development, and together with Professor Drózos Gintidis, NTUA Vice Rector of Administrative, Academic and Student Affairs, we will try to summarize the rich agenda and also perform discussion and our closing remarks. We are starting with a brief summary, beginning with European Universities Initiative experience, mentioning that the alliances are not a simple additional layer of international, but they are good and must be a variation of the international strategies of the establishments within the framework of concerted national and European strategies.
Good evening to everybody. I would like to say that our alliance worked for more than 2 years conceptually and methodologically, building a structure and proposed a program with creativity. Each member university provided ideas, and the whole project can work even if we get funded or not, and I'm happy about this situation. I was in the picture that showed Christina in Hanover. You showed together 2 pictures, the one in Hanover and the other in Madrid, and it was really, the difficult case was in Hanover. I remember when we tried to find what is vision, what could be a mission of our alliance. And, but now the alliance is more mature. I'm very happy and very excited about this. And I kept some notes from your presentation. I like very much the idea that we are alliance complementary with strengths, about the basic SDGs, for example, the strengths through diversity, interdisciplinary, interculturality, and openness, flexibility, inclusive, and all the idea is a long-term commitment, and I think this is the most important of our alliance. And we have a common strategy to do this. I think this is this characterizes our efforts, and we are very happy about this. And you can continue. So this was my first remark.
Okay, we moved on for Sustainable Campus, which we have 2 main presentations about digital campus, management of common teaching, learning, research and outreach, help students find the courses information, link the EULiST community via a user-friendly of entry and key digital infrastructure, open research knowledge, open access publishing platforms, open educational resources, unique digital information hub, common maintained and governed digital platforms. Also, clean energy in the EULiST campuses. With the motivations are overcome climate-related challenges and build sustainable and resilient future, coming to our objectives, that is, smart solutions in energy-efficient and environmental responsible ways. The actions are online lectures and also on-site workshops.
I would like also to add that important is I have from the presentation about the research, the societal challenges by linking society and technology through innovations are very important, and research excellence for high-value results is also very important, and we think that also characterizes research of our alliance. And all the idea of supporting innovation transfer, as for example, our Office of Transfer Technology, as our colleague presented, is in this direction. In some sense, we started with the final remarks, and we can do the discussion after, if you like.
Okay,
we can
then
ask for questions, for
yes.
example.
So we have come to the stage of questions. So please.
Maybe we can start.
The floor is open with for questions.
Students, maybe students' questions.
Any question from students? Yes, Professor Tsakanika, please.
Until you reach your microphone, I would like to thank Professor Eleftheria Tsakanika for providing us with an exceptional guidance in the city yesterday night for almost 2 hours in very interesting places.
I thank... I thank you also for being a member of this group and meeting you all in our first yesterday walk around Athens. I was so happy that you used the Church of Gorgoipikos as a symbol for what we're trying to do in these meetings. Thank you. I would like to make a question concerning this part with sustainability and clean energy. If you have been taken into account the connection and the innovation with clean energy and with other matters with the society concerning the traditional techniques and the traditional buildings. In our school, in the School of Architecture, we, as you probably understood yesterday, we work a lot on it, going to several villages for 5 days with our students in undergraduate and postgraduate studies, working there with the society and with the people in order to understand the local traditional techniques. And we do that because only through this procedure we can propose sustainable solutions for their renovation and for the protection of the cultural heritage. But this does not is limited only to the traditional architecture, because through this knowledge, understanding the traditional techniques and the hidden knowledge that we found in these buildings from the builders of the past in order to withstand earthquakes, in order to the thermal behavior of the buildings, we use this knowledge in order for modern structures. So we try to use all this knowledge for using in modern structure natural materials as wood, clay, stones, straw, whatever. Is this in your plan? Is this in your concept in your universities? This way of approaching sustainability, using the traditional techniques and the natural materials for either restoration or for building new structures.
Thank you, Professor Tsakanika. A reply, please.
Any volunteer to comment or reply?
Yes, please.
There you go.
Yes. Thank you very much. I would like to comment. We use this kind of materials at our university, especially also at the Faculty of Architecture and Design, but also in other faculties, for example, at the Faculty of Civil Engineering. So we have also their laboratories which was focused to these materials. And as I mentioned, Faculty of Architecture and Design, for example, we have a special studio which was focused to wooden material. And this studio is very successful. I mean, we have so-called vertical studio, which was taught by my colleagues, and they will focus to these wooden materials. So, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. We have a question from a student.
Maybe just a small...
Yes, yes.
a small answer. It's a good topic in the future. We have been working on energy, and there will be, I think most of us, maybe we are working on different type of material, depending the place we are, and I think it will be topics for the students in the future to work on exchanging things on materials and how we can deal with new material. And I'm sure it will be interesting to see different laboratories and what they are doing and things like that. So that's a good topic, I think, for the future.
Maybe if
yes,
I can
please.
add that we have also a research project to this topic, different research topics, and also a special, as I mentioned, laboratories. One is focused to the wood, especially to the wood, and another to the another kind of natural materials. So we would like to cooperate with you in this topic. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think the question is answered completely, as you said, in some direction. So there is a question from a student, Oscar Costilla Legas, from the University of Rey Juan Carlos. Please.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for your presentations. I was wondering, how are we going to include sustainability in our strategic lines, and how are these actions going to affect our life at EULiST, not only through ecological sustainable development, but also to become like better human, linking to the sustainable development goals focused on human rights. Thank you.
That's a very interesting question. Do we have volunteers? Yes. Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I think this is really a cross-cutting subject which has to be implemented in all our work packages. Environmental sustainability, but also we have this cross-cutting subject of inclusion, diversity, and so on. So we still have to find ways how to really implement that, because especially the subject of inclusion is something which is complex. Every university has already their strategies or their institutions, but together I think we will find a new level by that, especially because we are diverse. We have so many different cultures, we have so many different approaches. I really hope for that, but as you have heard, no, I didn't mention that, but we are still starting to work out this strategy, and you are really invited to contribute to that. But all in all, I think we have a kind of saying that we want to develop our campuses to microcosmi, I'm not sure, microcosms of sustainability and transformation. So this is something we really want to realize on the campus, in people living and working there together. So,
thank you very much.
I would like to make a comment that the role of students in this direction is very important. They can help, I think, very, very much. And the young generation has a different view of all these things, human rights, diversity, and at least in our university, we feel that the most of this positive effect in this direction comes from the students, not from the generation, the established generation, yes.
Okay, thank you. We have one more question on innovation transfer from Professor Ioannis Kanellos, Institute of Mines at Telecommunications. Professor Kanellos.
Well, I don't have really a question. I just would like to repeat a previous question of Mr. Boudovis, director. As far as I'm concerned, from the massive introduction of the artificial intelligence in every field of our life, and specifically in the education field. And as far as I know, the Goldman Sachs Society, in a very recent report, envisages a suppression or a radical change of about 300 million jobs for the next years by the introduction of artificial intelligence. I wonder how many of our plans in this particular program, the EULiST I mean, will be affected by this radical penetration of artificial intelligence in everything we plan or try to set up. Excuse me, Mr. Director, but I would like to stress this particular point. I'm very concerned, and I could also say very preoccupied about that. Insofar as I have some works on artificial intelligence and doctorates and PhD students that make subjects on artificial intelligence, and recently I'm several times invited to make a presentation and calls about this extreme and perhaps obscure problem that will affect our categories of thinking and acting. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. Any reply, please?
Yes. Well, this is not a reply. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jens.
I've just a question. I fully agree to you because we have the same attitude on that. My question is, I'm new here. Is there a task force on AI, and how many do we have a mapping of who is doing what in the AI within this EULiST consortium in the Alliance? Do we have a map who is doing what? Because I think you can only tackle this if you have the resources internally to have some people that have the experience to bring this together. So my question would just be, do we have something like that? A little map, who is doing what on EULiST in the AI topic?
Okay, maybe I can answer on that one. There is one task team for how to utilize artificial intelligence in teaching and education. And then in research work package, it's not any specific topic. But I think that if Sotiris is still here, maybe we could have one Research Friday on artificial intelligence, that what we are doing in our 10 universities. But put in honest answer, we don't have that kind of mapping on research, but it is one task in educational work package.
Yanni, at the top level of this consortium, we have lawyers, engineers who happen to be rectors, or who are fully equipped to cope with this challenge of AI. Well, I'm afraid, though, that in this case, we'll come out to be followers of developments across the Atlantic and maybe in the Far East. So Europe, in this case, has to move ahead and very fast. Otherwise, we'll be following others.
Two of my recent presentations were made in front of an audience of professors working on intellectual property. And they do not find an evident way of thinking things in this particular area. And of course, perhaps many of us know that nowadays the United States consider that every product of an artificial intelligence is not subject to intellectual property. At least, to my opinion, the arrival of artificial intelligence in the education field forces us to reconsider our way of doing, and more generally, the transmission of knowledge and cultures. And I'm not sure that we are all prepared for that. Excuse me, perhaps I'm very pessimistic. It's not the case, actually, but this is a question that I have to envisage with you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I would propose to be optimistic anyway. So, any other questions, please? No questions? If no questions, please, if you want to close the session.
I think we started with remarks, with the final remarks in the beginning. So if someone wants to add some remarks now, we would like to hear maybe from the president of the Alliance or Professor Budovesi, if you want to add something, and then I think we are ready to close.
I'll pass the closing statement to our president here.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much for your remarks and your questions. And as you said, it was very impressive to see how we started and where we are now. We are not at the end. We have done some steps, and we have found an alliance, and we stay close to the alliance, and we decided to stay beside funding. That's very impressive at the beginning. You remember in Hanover, this was a clear statement of all members in Hanover, and we had the same statement in Madrid and the same statement here in Athens, and it shows that we are closer than at the beginning. We are working together in several fields. We do not see everything what is necessary, but it's a way we have to go. And I think, and I said it in the some hours before, that we have to do steps, and it's a long way to be at the end one campus, one university. But it's a great aim, a big picture we should follow. And therefore, I'm very happy to see all participants of this conference who are struggling for this wonderful picture. And I hope I can see a finished picture, or nearly a finished picture, in several years. But we should be aware that it's not a short story to reach this picture. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you all for this wonderful meeting. I think we have done for today, and
not yet. Talking about pictures,
yeah.
Please approach the stand there. We have to take a group picture. All right.
No more meetings, no more presentations, nights, pictures, and dinner. So.
Well, tomorrow is another day, all right? We have a meeting today, tomorrow,
yes,
right?
Scarlett.